So, I've had a lot of people that have sent me messages and texts, and they're just like, hey, when are you going to do a show about, what do you think's going to happen here over the next 6-12 months? And some of those folks know that I'm a numbers guy, and they know that I follow the numbers and the trends very closely. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys putting your trust in me to deliver my opinion on that. The reality is, I'm not going to do any sort of percentage-based predictions on the real estate market. You guys know I'm not an economist, and I think even economists that do this for a living are going to seriously struggle with it because there are just too many unknowns right now. So what I want to talk about is just what I think is going to happen, generally speaking, and then how you, as the person that might be thinking about selling your current home and then buying another, should be taking this information in stride and into consideration in your own personal planning. And so let me start with this. We've talked at length about different kinds of recoveries that our market could see. And it's been, some of it has been linear, some of it has been exponential, some of it has been a check mark, some of it has been a Nike swoosh. We've seen the W or the flying V. I mean, how many different recovery-based shapes are there out there? Well, now they're throwing out the K-shaped recovery, which really is kind of in line with what I was talking about last segment, meaning there are essentially two different groups of people that are going through the pandemic with totally different experiences. And that's essentially the haves and the have-nots, if I could put it bluntly. The folks that are wealthy are going to become wealthier if they make the right moves and if they prepare and, if they're in a position to capitalize on some of the opportunities that are going to be presented. Meanwhile, the folks that are struggling, I think, are going to continue to struggle. Yes, there might be some additional government assistance. There might be some things that help. I don't think we're seeing interest rates go up anytime soon. I'll put my hand down the table on that one. I don't think they're going to go anywhere for a year or two. I think realistically, our economy is addicted to low interest rates. I think if we try to raise the interest rate before the economy is ready or even past the point of being ready, it's going to cause a recession in and of itself. I think things are just too delicate right now. And, we're at this kind of tipping point, so to speak, where things could get better, and they could get better fairly quickly. But what's going to cause things to get better? Something like a vaccine? I mean, what you guys, and this is my way of thinking, this is my opinion, but even if we get a vaccine, let's say we get a vaccine next week, it's not like things just go back to normal. It's going to take time for businesses to open back up. Think about the typical kind of mom and pop business. They're not going to just, as soon as the vaccine is ready, go back to the way things were before. They're not going to go all in. They're going to place some strategic bets, meaning they're going to start to open up more gradually. They're going to invest more in inventory gradually. And then as things continue to improve, they'll increase their investment. They'll increase their exposure to risk and hopefully get back to where they were pre-COVID in maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Obviously, bigger corporations are going to be able to play that game, and they're going to be able to play it more aggressively, quickly, which is why some of those companies you're just going to see them continue to rise in value. Mom and pops, though, typical everyday Americans that own businesses, it's going to be a slower than normal or slower than maybe anticipated recovery. So you've got that going for you, or that's going to be in play. And so the wealthy, I think they're going to continue to get wealthy, and those that are struggling are going to continue to struggle. I don't think interest rates are going anywhere for, I think at least 2 years. I think prices are going to remain stable in the short term. I think they're still going to continue to go up just because of the complete lack of inventory nationwide, but also, of course, here locally. I mean, if you look at our month's supply of inventory, if you compare August's numbers in Charleston last month to August of 2019, inventory is down more than 50%, literally half gone. And even with all of that, we are still closing 6% more properties So we have half the number of homes to sell, and we've sold more than we did last year to date. We've put 17% more properties under contract this year than we did this same amount of time last year, with literally half of the inventory available. I mean, that's how aggressive demand is, which is what's pushing up prices. Having said that, let's look a few months down the road. Look at those that are directly impacted. Not the folks that are indirect, like hospitality. People kind of in that arena right now. Or a lot of people that have been furloughed. Maybe they've lost their job. We've seen some recovery. We've seen unemployment numbers go down and kind of bounce around a little bit. But the big thing that's on my mind are all of the people that took advantage of a forbearance. Some companies are doing it for 4 months, some for 6. The max I've seen is 12 months. And essentially what that means is let's say for a 12-month forbearance, they're going to say, hey, you don't have to pay your mortgage payment for a year. But after that year's up, you got to pay us back all at once. I'm here to tell you that that's going to be a really tough thing for people to do, especially, of course, those that haven't found work or haven't gotten back to the point where they're earning a steady income. I think a lot of people have, frankly, kicked the can down the road. And that's great that we have the ability to, have the chance to get back on our feet. So many folks that have experienced those hardships. And obviously the hope and the goal is that everything works out and that you just needed a little time to get back on your feet. I'm just here to be realistic and say that there are going to be a lot of people that can't. And so they're going to start to miss rental payments. They're going to start to miss mortgage payments. Of course, that's going to impact the owners of rental property. It's going to impact them personally. It's going to impact their credit score. It's going to essentially prevent them from being able to buy something else. So that's going to mean they're going to become renters if they have to sell it, or they get a short sale if they bought it recently and prices start to come down a little bit. I mean, there are several different directions that this thing can go at this point, but we're already starting to see in the commercial market, business owners struggle. They're not making their payments. Those shopping center owners or commercial building owners are feeling the hurt. And there hasn't really been any assistance for the property owners, right? So what's going to happen there? I think institutional money. Let's say as an example, there's a company here in Charleston called American Homes for Rent. They own, I think, still hundreds of properties in the Charleston area. So depending upon what happens here, they're either going to make the move to acquire more properties if the market softens, or of course they're going to go and they're going to start to sell some things if the market starts to improve a little bit. But they own large shares of homes in particular neighborhoods. They've got their own bread and butter homes that they like to buy and rent out. And so I think you're going to start to see some institutional money make some big decisions that will have an impact on the market. Now, of course, if these folks can't pay their mortgage after forbearance, then it's going to take a little while for them to foreclose. I mean, I'll tell you that in addition to selling real estate, I'm also a hard money lender. I'm a private money lender. And I loaned a builder some money, and he made me one payment and then never paid me again. And the house was collateral, and I had to foreclose on him, and I did. But it took about 18 months. That's about how long it took for me to actually take back that property. And so even for these folks that are in forbearance right now, when that comes due and they can't make that payment, it's going to take 90 or so days for them to, say, all right, well, I guess we're going to have to start the foreclosure process on you. And then depending upon how much stuff is in the works, how many properties are delinquent, that might prolong the amount of time it takes for the home to actually get foreclosed on. The good news with all of this is that people have equity. There are plenty of people that have equity. If they bought several years ago, you've got enough equity to sell your property, pay commissions, pay closing costs, put some money in your pocket, and move on, and maybe restructure a little bit. I think a lot of folks have again, gotten used to really low interest rates. A lot of folks, 59% of people state that now is the right time or a good time to buy, and they see that improving. I don't know how you feel about that number or that percentage. I think that the majority of people, though, aren't really all that educated on the market. They see low interest rates. They see prices that are continuing to go up, and that's what they judge their decision off of. Obviously, I want you guys to be more informed about what's happening in the market and some of these factors that are going to influence decisions as it relates to buying, selling, or investing in real estate.